What kind of man agrees to marry a stranger he met on the side of the road? And what kind of girl asks him to do it the very next morning? That question hit Eli Harper hard the moment he saw her standing outside the general store in Graybend. West Texas heat pressed down like punishment. Wind clawed at the hills, dragging dust across the ground until everything looked the same shade of tired brown. Eli rode in slow, his mare limping, his boots worn through the toes, his shirt stuck to him with dry sweat. He hadn't eaten real food in a day and a half. His pockets were empty. His luck was worse. He came to Graybend for water, maybe a drink strong enough to numb the ache inside him. He expected nothing good. Nothing ever came easy for him. Not after losing his brother. Not after years of running fences and chasing debts that never shrank. But then he saw her. She leaned against the post outside the general store, thin as a fence rail, dressed in a worn, dusty dress with one seam torn open. Her boots were too big, her hair tangled, and a bruise sat on her wrist like a faded mark of something painful. She looked young, too young to be alone this far from anywhere safe. But her green eyes caught him. They were sharp and bright, holding something old inside them despite her age. She did not step back when he approached. She did not shy away from a stranger. She just watched him like she was measuring his worth in one steady look. "You lost?" Eli asked. "You're bleeding," she replied. He glanced at his elbow where a mesquite branch had split it earlier that morning. He hadn't even noticed. Flies had found it. He wiped them off with a grunt. "You from around here?" he asked. She shook her head. "Ain't from anywhere anymore." Before he could ask more, she walked inside the store. No warning, no goodbye. Eli stood there wondering why she stuck in his mind like a thorn under skin. When she came back out, she carried a sack tied with rope. Her hands moved fast and sure, like she had learned to make do without help from anyone. Eli stepped forward without knowing why. "Your pa around?" Her eyes cut sharp. "Pa? I just mean you shouldn't be alone." "I've been alone," she said. "World didn't ask my age." She walked away down the street, boots thudding in the dust. Eli watched her go, jaw tight, unsure why he cared. Maybe it was the bruise. Maybe the emptiness in her walk. Maybe he was just too tired to let another lost soul pass by. By the edge of town, she turned. "You following me?" He opened his mouth, but no answer came. Truth was, he didn't know why he was walking after her. "I just don't think a girl should be out here alone," he finally said. She let out a short, dry laugh. World already decided otherwise. "What's your name?" he asked. She stared at him long enough to make him uncomfortable. Then she said, "Loretta, and I'm not a girl." She turned and kept walking. Eli hesitated, then followed. He told himself it was for safety. He told himself it was because she reminded him of his younger brother. Tough, stubborn, and always walking toward trouble. By sundown, they were miles from Graybend. When they stopped to rest by the tracks, Loretta lit a small fire with dry grass. She handed him a strip of jerky without a word. He chewed slow and watched the sky turn orange and then black. "You got family?" he asked. "No." "You headed somewhere?" "Nowhere." Silence stretched between them. The fire cracked in the quiet night. A coyote howled far off. She looked sideways at him, the flames glowing in her eyes. "Why'd you come after me?" she asked. He didn't know. Not really. Maybe he felt something break in him when he saw that bruise. Maybe he didn't want to be alone anymore. Maybe he didn't want her to be either. "Seemed like you needed someone," he said. She nodded once like she expected that answer. Then she leaned back on her hands and stared at the fire. "I ain't nobody's burden," she said. "I didn't say you were." The fire snapped. The night stretched quiet again. Then she asked, "You ever been married?" The question hit him strange. "No, you?" Her eyes didn't waver. "Maybe I will be. Tomorrow." He looked at her. She wasn't smiling. Not even close. "Who to?" he asked slowly. She turned to him with steady eyes. "You?" Eli let out a short, bitter laugh. "I ain't got land. I ain't got money. I ain't even got both my boots." "You got a gun," she said, "and I got a reason." He stared at her. The firelight made her eyes look older than the stars. "Marry me in the morning," she said. "Then I'll tell you why." He didn't sleep well that night. He wasn't sure if he was making the worst mistake of his life or stepping into something he couldn't walk away from. At dawn, they walked to a tiny rail stop where a half-blind preacher slept beside a jug of whiskey. Loretta kicked his boot. "You marry people?" The preacher blinked awake. "For $5. "I got 2, she said, "and a man who'll sign." Eli didn't correct her. Maybe he should have. Maybe he couldn't. The preacher stood them together in the heat, sweat dripping off his chin. It wasn't a wedding. It was 2 people standing in the dust, saying words that felt heavy even though neither fully understood what they were stepping into. "You may kiss the bride," the preacher said. Loretta turned away, walked to the pump, and splashed water on her face like the whole thing meant nothing. Eli stood there holding a marriage paper he didn't ask for. Dust blew around his boots. And that was how the struggling cowboy married the barely legal girl he had met only the day before. A decision that would pull him into a storm he never saw coming. The sun climbed high as Eli and Loretta walked away from the rail stop, nothing but the sound of their steps mixing with the dry wind. He kept glancing at the marriage paper tucked in his shirt. He didn't know what he had agreed to. He didn't know if she was running from something or walking straight toward danger. All he knew was she carried herself like someone who had already survived more than most adults ever would. By evening, they reached a ranch that looked dead. Fences blackened, cattle skulls scattered like broken memories, and the farmhouse burned down to its bones. Eli stopped, staring at the wreckage. Loretta kept walking as if she already knew what they would find. "You knew this place," he said. "No, quote, you seem certain." She didn't answer. They made camp under a twisted juniper tree. Loretta built the fire with quick, practiced hands. Her movements were stiff, controlled. Eli watched her loop rope into perfect knots, 3 nooses, tied with a kind of precision that came from remembering something ugly. When the stars rose, she finally spoke. "I was 15 when the McKinnon boys came." Eli didn't move. The firelight flickered across her face, turning her eyes into dark shadows. "They owned the land east of Red Gate. 5 brothers, big men, mean men. My pa wouldn't sell the creek that ran through our land. So one night they came, set the barn on fire. When pa rushed out, She stopped. Her jaw tightened until it looked carved from stone. "My ma died in the fire. I ran. Only reason I'm alive." Eli felt something heavy settle in his chest. She didn't cry. She didn't shake. She just kept talking like she was scraping truth off old wounds. "I stayed with a tanner's widow after that. Worked leather. Learned rope. Learned to listen more than talk. When she died, I took what she left. I've been walking ever since." Eli looked at her. "Why marry me?" She met his eyes. "I can't go into Redgate alone. They remember a girl, not a woman. With a man beside me, they won't look twice. I need to get close." "You want to kill them," Eli said. She nodded. "I want them to die slow." "And being my wife gets you through their door?" "Your name will." Eli leaned back on his palms, staring into the sky. He had never sought revenge in his life. Never hunted a man in cold blood. But he understood loss. He understood anger that never cooled. "I never killed a man for sport," he said. "Neither have I." He looked at her. "But I won't stop you." Her shoulders loosened for the first time. She reached into her sack and pulled out a nickel-plated revolver, sliding it toward him across the dirt. "You'll need both hands," she said. They rode a stolen wagon into Red Gate the next morning. The mule pulling it was slow, stubborn, and loud. Loretta sat beside Eli with her bonnet low, a pistol hidden under her dress. They looked like any worn-down couple passing through a tired town, but Loretta's breath changed the moment they crossed the main road. She sat straighter, her gaze sharpened. "The McKinnons own the livery, grain depot, and butcher shop," she said. "Boyd runs poker behind the general store." "You remember all that?" Eli asked. "I remember everything." They walked hand in hand down the street. Not lovers, not newlyweds, just 2 people heading toward a place that held old ghosts. Faces peered from windows. A boy paused in the street. A woman froze behind a curtain. Then a man stepped out onto the dirt road, big, wide in the waist, beard streaked with gray. He smiled like he'd found something he lost years ago. "Well, I'll be," he said. "Loretta May, thought you burned with the rest." Loretta stopped. Eli did too. The man stepped closer. "Didn't think you'd grow up mean. You come to beg or bend?" Loretta's grip tightened on Eli's hand. Then she let go. "No," she said. "I came to finish something." The man laughed like it hurt his ribs. "You always had fire, little May. Thought we beat it out of you." She stepped forward, just one slow step that pulled the whole street into silence. "Call your brothers." The man Boyd looked at Eli. "That your husband? You bring in witnesses to your grave?" Eli didn't speak. He rested his hand near his pistol, calm, ready. The kind of ready you don't teach. You survive into it. "I ain't calling nobody," Boyd said, "but they'll come when they hear the shot." "That'll do," Loretta said. She moved first, not for her gun, her knife. She charged fast and low, slicing for Boyd's belly. He caught her wrist at the last second, but not before the blade cut into his side. He shoved her back, reaching for his gun. Eli fired first. One sharp shot into Boyd's thigh sent him to the dirt. Not dead, but down. "You gonna stop her?" Boyd wheezed. "No," Eli said, "but I won't stop her either." The rest of the McKinnons came like vultures. Calb, Vernon, Silas, and Amos forming a half circle around them, guns drawn. Teeth clenched. "You're making a mess," Vernon said. "She was always trouble," Calb said. Loretta pointed her knife at Boyd. "Not as much trouble as you're about to see." Then the sheriff stepped out. Sheriff Voss, old, worn, rifle steady. "Put 'em down," he said. "All of you." No one moved. "You were there that night," Loretta said. The sheriff nodded. "I was." "And you did nothing." "I did less than nothing." The wind whispered across the dirt. Loretta lifted her chin. "I'm not asking for justice. I came to take it." The air tightened. Calb raised his gun a little higher. Loretta moved. 2 shots hit the air, both hers. Silas fell. Amos dropped. Eli fired next, hitting Vernon. Sheriff Voss dropped Calb clean. Only Boyd remained, bleeding and shaking. Loretta knelt beside him, knife at his throat. "You're gonna live," she whispered, "long enough to remember me." She cut his cheek, just a mark, a reminder, and she stood. They buried the dead behind the church. No markers, no prayers, just dirt and silence. That night, Loretta placed her ring in Eli's hand. "You can leave now," she said. "You did your part." Eli closed his fist around it. "I could," he said, "but I won't." Morning came quiet over Redgate, soft gray clouds hanging low like the sky was holding its breath. Loretta stood by the old church pump with her sleeves rolled and her hair still damp. She wasn't looking at Eli. She wasn't looking at the graves behind the church either. Her eyes were on the empty road stretching east. "You waiting on something?" Eli asked. "Not something," she said. "Someone." He followed her gaze. Nothing but a crow picking at a dead mule far off in the field. "Wasn't just 5 McKinnons," she said. "There was a 6th man. Hired hand. Never spoke. Stayed behind them. Always wore gloves." "You think he's coming?" Eli asked. "I think he never left." Quote. They stayed in Redgate 3 days. Sheriff Voss didn't run them off. Maybe he knew Loretta deserved space to breathe where her life had broken. Every morning, she walked the whole edge of town, past the burned livery, past the smithy ruins, past the dry wash. She watched everything. Doors, footsteps, shadows. She was waiting for something to move wrong. Eli stayed near the saloon, listening. No one said the McKinnons' names. No one cried for them. Redgate had learned to bury grief fast, like fear. On the 4th morning, the dead mule was gone, dragged off. In its place, 2 crow wings were clipped and crossed into an X beside the church steps. That was when Loretta stopped sleeping. They moved into the empty grain depot. Loretta called it fitting. The floor creaked with every step. Eli cleaned their guns with kerosene until the air stung. Loretta sat in the corner with her knees pulled up, eyes locked on the door, like she expected it to open any second. "You ever get scared?" he asked. "I used to dream about him, the sixth man," she said. "He'd stand behind a door, never speak. When I woke up, I could still smell smoke." "We could leave," Eli said. "No one's chasing us." "That would be hiding," she said. "I hid once already." A sharp metal sound hit the depot's wall. Both of them stood at once. Eli went to the window. Nothing. Then a whistle echoed behind the depot, slow and thin. Eli stepped outside first. The alley was empty, but wet footprints marked the dirt. Big, bare, dragging like something heavy was pulled behind them. The prints ended near the pump. When Eli turned back, he saw a single glove nailed to the depot door. Leather cracked, fingertips dark with old blood. He pulled it down. Loretta stared at it like it was the face of a ghost. "That's his," she whispered. "The seams I remember." That night, she didn't touch her bedroll. Eli didn't either. By dawn, they climbed the grain tower. It hadn't been used in years. Something smelled wrong. Rot and smoke mixed together. They found a nest in the far corner. Blankets torn, piles of matchsticks twisted into spirals, a lone boot, rat bones, and burned into the wood. A childlike drawing, a tall figure with flames for hair, and a smaller one holding a knife. Loretta stared until her hands shook. "He watched me," she whispered. When they came down, Red Gate looked smaller, like fear had shrunk the buildings. That night, fire lit the depot wall. Someone had soaked the boards in oil. Eli grabbed what he could. Loretta was already outside, ash on her cheeks, eyes wide but steady. They ran. The town didn't chase the fire. The bell rang twice, then stopped. No yelling, no helping hands. Redgate had learned to stay away from curses. Eli and Loretta hid under the old forge ruins. Smoke crawled over them. Then a voice floated through the dark. "You took my employers," it said. "You burned my name." Loretta's breath shook. "I didn't burn it. You left it in their blood." The voice didn't answer. Footsteps moved away, calm, steady, like a man taking his time. For the first time, Loretta trembled. "He knows I'm not done," she whispered. "Then neither are we," Eli said. The next days were a blur of fear and planning. Loretta marked the whole town like a map inside her mind. Every window. Every hiding place. Every angle someone could shoot from. The glove she'd kept for years was nailed above the forge ruins now. She left it there like a warning. No one dared touch it. Then, the signs came faster. A dead goat left at the school, placed like a message. The preacher vanished. Bed still warm. Matchsticks arranged on the boarding house porch, shaped like a handprint. This one had 6 fingers. Loretta crushed it with her boot. "I know what he wants," she said. "He wants me last." That night she wrote a letter and tucked it in her dress. She handed Eli a tin of gun oil. "If I don't come back, you bury me near the river," she said. Eli didn't argue. He just memorized her face. Before dawn, she walked into the street alone. No coat, no rifle. Just her father's old hat and a single revolver behind her back. Eli watched from the shadows. The road stayed still. Then the wind shifted. A figure stepped out from the tree line. Tall. Thin. Wearing a long coat. Gloves on his hands. Hat low over his eyes. He carried no gun. Only a rope coiled in one hand. Loretta didn't blink. "You remember me?" she asked. The man didn't speak. He lifted one hand. 6 fingers. He pulled off the glove. His skin was burned, fingers black and twisted, nails sharp like metal points. Loretta stared at him. "You helped them kill my family," she said. "But you weren't one of them. You were worse." Quote. Still no words. He walked toward her. Eli stepped out. "Don't." The man turned. His face was empty. No age, no emotion, just wrong. Eli raised his gun. "She's not dying today." Loretta stepped forward. "And neither are you." The man moved first. Fast. Too fast. Eli fired twice. One shot missed. One spun the man, but didn't drop him. Loretta went low with her knife, slicing deep. The man fell hard, grabbed her arm, and his nails tore skin wide open. Blood ran fast. Eli tackled him. They wrestled in the dust, all teeth and fury. The man didn't scream. He moved like a machine. Loretta crawled up, knife shaking in her hand. She pinned the man with her knee, pressed the blade to his throat. "Say your name," she said. The man didn't speak. She stabbed once. Twice. The third time ended him. Dust settled. The town creaked awake. Doors opened slow. No one came close. They burned his body on the depot ground. Sheriff Voss lit the fire. Loretta kept the glove until the flames swallowed the last bone. Then she buried it far from town. No words, no ceremony. 2 days later, they left Red Gate behind. No one stopped them. They traveled north, across dry rivers and dusty plains. Loretta worked patching coats in a mining town. Eli hauled freight. They didn't call themselves husband and wife, but everyone saw it in the way they looked at each other. One night by the river, Loretta took the knife that had ended her past and threw it into the water. It sank fast. "He never gave me his name," she said softly. "You gave him one," Eli said. She nodded. They moved on, not free, but no longer hunted. And for people like them, that was enough.